homicide recently where 11 people were in the area when the shooting took place, but no one came forward to talk about who did it. And the reason was they did not have a strong trust in the police, that the police would protect them, that they wouldn't be the victim of some kind of retaliation on the part of the bad guys, on the part of gang members. So we need to make some changes. And one thing I will do as mayor, I will increase the number of school resource officers, because gangs are in our schools, and students who may be gang members, those who aren't gang members will have information and know about things that were going on. If we put enough school resource officers dedicated to specific schools, they'll be able to develop that trust, that relationship that will allow them to be more effective in doing their job, reducing crime in our city.
All right.
We have already increased the number of school resource officers that work in and around our schools and work with young people. That was something that we did because we wanted to increase the relationship with our young people. We have more school resource officers working now with our youth than the previous administration. We have also done innovative programs like Game Changers. It's a program where we keep 2 community centers open on Friday nights, one on the east side and one on the west side, working with children between the ages of 10 to 18, mentoring, providing basketball instruction, life skills, training, bringing in mentors. We've partnered with the U.S. Drug Enforcement Administration. We have partnered with Rotary, Buffalo Rotary. We've partnered with some of the banking institutions. And we have community police officers that are at that site every Friday night working with youth, talking to youth, playing basketball with youth. We also have increased our community police officer program. We have community police officers that meet with the community monthly, every week. The community police officer program was reestablished in 2010, and every month they are meeting with members of the community. They are meeting with block clubs. They are available to talk to youth. They are at community events. And at every community event, every community festival, we have our police officers there, visible and present, engaging with youth, talking to youth, whether it's the Grease Pole Festival or the Juneteenth Festival or the parade in South Buffalo, the parade of circles. We have police officers in neighborhoods all across the city, and and peacemakers, which we just funded, which is going to provide prevention and intervention services to the most at-risk youth in partnership with our Buffalo Police Department, is going to be a game changer.
Thank you, Our next question from Anita Doyle of the Buffalo Criteria.
Despite all of the cranes dotting Buffalo's skyline, people complain that they see very few African American or Hispanic workers on job sites. What would you do to change that?
Those cranes are part of that $1.7 billion worth of development that we hear is going on in the city of Buffalo. I don't begrudge the cranes, but I'd like to see are some cranes, or maybe some mini cranes, in some of our neighborhoods, yes, particularly neighborhoods on the east side. Yes. You go on Kensington, Bailey, parts of Black Rock, Riverside, parts of South Buffalo, you don't see that kind of construction, development going on. So I'd like to see some of that in our neighborhoods, because our neighborhoods have been totally ignored. And here's the question, if you drive past these sites, you don't see the representation across all races on those job sites. The city of Buffalo has a program that requires contractors to meet certain standards in terms of hiring minority and women businesses. However, because of a lack of leadership, those goals aren't being enforced. So it's one thing to have them on the books and say, Mr. Contractor, you must hire minorities, but it's something else to enforce them. And we need to start enforcing them so when we drive past those sites, we will see
He can say it, but it doesn't mean it's right. And oftentimes tonight, what he has said has been off and has been wrong. Now, let me just tell you about the Harbor Center, which is a surface parking lot that was owned by the city of Buffalo. It's called the Webster Block. We parked 300 cars. The city of Buffalo put out a competitive RFP. There was a strong competition between multiple companies, and the Buffalo Sabres were selected to do Harbor Center. It's a $172 million project, and yes, 2 tower cranes are at that site. But we have negotiated the strongest minority and women business participation requirements, minority worker, female worker requirements, city residency requirements, and living wage requirements on that project ever negotiated on a project using exclusively private money. 1,200 construction workers will be hired on that project. There will be 300 permanent workers hired on that project. There will be 25% minority business participation. That is the goal that we've negotiated on that project. Every project that the city of Buffalo does, we aggressively negotiate goals for minority and women business participation. We don't give them a pass on it. And maybe you missed the work that's being done, Mr. Tolbert, in different neighborhoods around the city. The $4.5 million to renovate the splash pad in Martin Luther King Park. The $2.1 million to repay Fillmore Avenue. The $1.2 million to repay Humboldt Parkway. The renovation of the old Catholic Diocesan Center on Dodge Street, vacant for 30 years. Now it houses 85 families, renovated to the tune of $16 million on the east side of Buffalo, with workers from the east side of Buffalo.
30 seconds.
I would agree that it's nice to have a goal that says you will hire a certain number of minority and women business enterprises. But it's one thing to have a goal, and then it's another thing to actually do it. If you walk on the sites in the city of Buffalo, we may have a contract that says you must hire so many, but I challenge anyone to walk there and find the numbers on the street working on the jobs.
Well, you know, I agree with Mr. Tolbert. I mean, seeing is believing. You can just go right downtown and see the representation of minorities in a city that, by the way, folks, where 49% of the population is African American and Hispanic. Now, you tell me if you go downtown and you see that representation downtown. You won't. Now, let me tell you about a place called the Outsource Center on the east side of Buffalo. It was founded 5 years ago by Mr. Gaskin. Their explicit purpose is to hire and train minorities and women in the construction field, because you know what, too many developers say we can't find qualified minorities. Well, there they are. Now, ask Mr. Gaskin of the Outsource Center if the administration has lent any level of support to that center. Now, you know what's interesting is, and as Mr. Tolbert said, we have to enforce these federal, state, and city guidelines that specifically state that we must hire a percentage of minorities in a city like Buffalo. We're not doing that. When we're demolishing these homes, those coming out, contractors from out of town, they come in here, make their money, and then they go right back out. So if the mayor was running for county executive, maybe people would be happy out there in the suburbs. But as far as city residents are concerned, they're not getting employed by this development.
That's right.
Around 30 seconds.
You know, again, they can say it, but it doesn't make it right. I have been the chairman of the Joint School Construction Board that's doing the $1.4 billion construction of the Buffalo Public Schools. At every meeting, we review the minority and women business participation. We review the minority and worker participation. Certified payrolls have to be turned in. Certified documents of who participates has to be turned in. And we have exceeded the goals of minority business and women business participation every single month.
Thank you, Mayor.
That's just the paperwork.
Before our next question, you're getting small pieces of blue paper that are being passed throughout the audience. Any questions that you have, please pass them back to Ken. Write them down, pass them back to Ken. Of course, I can't promise all the questions will be asked, but we will work them into the questioning from our panel. And our next panelist is Brittany Smallwood from WNYmedia.
As you all were mentioning, there's a lot of development in the city of Buffalo, yet the city continually ranks among the lowest and poorest big cities in the United States. What would you do to change that?
This question to the mayor.
One of the things that we have to do is start with our youth. We talk about our youth being the future, and one of the things that I've tried to do is place a lot of focus on our youth. That's why during my tenure as mayor, we've provided over 17,000 job opportunities to our youth to prepare them for the jobs of the future. And we have negotiated very aggressive minority and women business participation goals on every project. We have negotiated goals for minority and female worker participation, and we have set goals for the participation of city residents. So people are not coming from other parts of the community taking all of the jobs that are being created in the city. We have seen success in the negotiation of those goals. I've also met with the union to express concerns to the unions about more opportunities for people to get apprenticeship programs and to get opportunities to work into the unions themselves. From time to time, I come before the Buffalo building trades, and I have shared concerns about them opening up and doing more to provide opportunities to workers. They have been responsive, and they've done a variety of different things to bring minority workers into the Buffalo building trades. I think that kind of outreach, that kind of communication needs to take place. The laws that exist require the programs to be goals, not mandates. And we have very successfully not only negotiated goal programs, but seen those goals that have been negotiated be turned into real jobs and real opportunities for people in the minority community.
Thank you, Mayor Brown. Mr. Rodriguez?
Okay. So, you know, let's take a trip down memory lane. 2006, June. The unemployment rate in the city of Buffalo was 6.3%. Okay? You know what it is in June of this year, the latest available statistics? 10%. So unemployment has actually increased in the city of Buffalo. No, the only boom of jobs downtown is really for suburban employees. You know, people that live in the city. Now, poverty, right? We're the third poorest city in America, and it's a shameful thing to be part of. Being the third poorest city in America. Now, last year we got $18 million in HUD funds to address this issue of poverty, federal funds. Now, because of mismanagement by the administration, we have to give back, return $500,000 to the that could be crucial for community organizations whose explicit purpose is to address the poverty rate in the city of Buffalo. So, guys, we have to be disciplined with the money that we do get. If we're going to employ people, how about employing our own city residents?
That's right.
Fund development is so good. It's so good. But it's become a playground for suburbans, right? We need development and we need things to happen for City of Buffalo residents. By the way, that MLK Splash Pad project, that company manager, they donated $17,000 to the administration's re-election campaign.
That's right. Big dollar, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Rodriguez. Mayor.
Here you go again, Sergio, with fuzzy math and wrong information. Now we are dealing with, in 2006, a global recession. And jobs have been lost and unemployment has gone up in communities all across the country. But we have set a foundation with the development that is taking place to lift all parts of the city of Buffalo. The growth that you're seeing at the medical campus, the growth that you're seeing on the waterfront, the growth that you're seeing downtown, and the investment in the neighborhoods over the next 4 to 6 years is going to produce thousands and thousands of jobs at different levels from the residents, for the residents of this community. And not suburbanites, but people living in every single neighborhood and section of the city of Buffalo.
Thank you, Mayor. Mr. Tolbert.
Thank you. As Mr. Rodriguez has said, Buffalo is the third poorest city in the United States. That's not a number any of us can be proud of, and it's not a number that any of us can expect to continue if we are to be successful in the city. We have not done a good job of developing jobs for our residents. Mr. Brown talked about the 17,000 job opportunities that have been created. That's commendable, but how many of those were summer youth jobs that are only temporary and are not jobs that will permanently be on the books for the people in our city? Mr. Brown also mentioned that the medical corridor, the medical campus, and waterfront. Those are good projects that we all can look to as bettering our community, but where's the jobs, where are the initiatives that the city started? The medical campus was not a city initiative. You give UB and Kaleida Health the credit for that. The waterfront, I want to, as your mayor, I will make sure that the city is actively involved in initiatives that are going to create jobs, not just ride on the coattails of others who do that. We have to, as the city administration, must be a leader in producing jobs for our city. Mr. Rodriguez talked about the HUD money that has come into the city. Let me just mention a different agency, BERT, the Buffalo Economic Renaissance Development Company. That agency, after an audit by HUD was dismantled, HUD said that the economic development progress brought about by that agency has been minimal, and they said the reasons for it was a lack of oversight and leadership. By the way, who was the chairman of the board of BERT?
Thank you, Mr. Tolbert.
Byron Brown.
30 seconds, Mayor Brown.
Well, I would say first of all that no HUD money has been lost to the city of Buffalo.
Oh, that's
No
Be quiet.
HUD.
Okay, so far,
Please.
you've done a great job of being polite to everyone. Please be polite to all of our candidates.
No HUD money has been lost to the city of Buffalo. No money has had to be turned back. We have used the money very strategically and very systematically to build a community. There's building taking place in the neighborhoods. In fact, we have spent since 2006 over $45 million on infrastructure, streets, sidewalks, and neighborhoods throughout the city of Buffalo. This year, we're spending another $10 million on streets and sidewalks. We've spent $31 million upgrading and renovating parks in the city of Buffalo. No money has been squandered.
Thank you, Mayor. Our next question comes from Harold McNeil of Buffalo News, and that question will go to Mr. Rodriguez.
Much has been made of the fact that we have 3 men of color running for mayor, yet significant gaps remain between white people and people of color in Buffalo. When it comes to income, poverty rates, unemployment, and other socioeconomic measures, those disparities can be seen. What do you plan to do to help close the gap without engendering a backlash?
Thank you, question. All right, so, you know what, clearly, being a minority myself, you know, it's something that I've seen some of the injustices that occur in a city like Buffalo in terms of hiring people of color. Now, here's the problem. We have jobs being developed in the city of Buffalo, right? However, we're not preparing our own to have a shot at getting any of these jobs. When you consider that men, Hispanic male and African American males, were only graduating 1 and 4, what does it matter that we have a medical corridor? Are they going to be ready for that? Are they going to be ready to get those jobs? So it really does start with education. If we're not prioritizing education as the single biggest issue facing the entire city of Buffalo, you know what's going to happen is we're going to continue to lose people, like the 20,000 residents that have left the city since the mayor got elected in 2005. So yes, what we need to do is make sure that we have our residents get a proper education so they can have a shot at these jobs, because otherwise we can bring all these type of job developments downtown and we're not going to get them.
Thank you. The question asked, how are we going to close the gap without involving a backlash, if I'm not mistaken? That was the question. You know, that gap is real. I am a person who's lived it. I grew up in this city, born and raised here in Buffalo, grew up in the Willard Park projects, and we were on public assistance. My mother had 5 children, and she was 23 years old without a husband. My dad left home. My mother did not have a high school degree at that time. She went back to school, got her degree, went to college, and did a very good job of ensuring that all 5 of her children were able to overcome that gap that you talked about. Unfortunately, as much as she'd like to, as much as she has tried, my mother can't be the mother to everybody in this city. So we have to make sure that we are doing things that are going to help us to bridge that gap. Backlash, throughout my career, I've been able to work with people from across all segments of our community. When I was the special agent in charge of the FBI here, I was the first African American special agent in charge here in the city of Buffalo. There were some questions as to whether or not I would be able to be successful. But I have a history of working with people, not worrying about race or other variables, and concentrating on what needs to be done. I will do the things that need to be done to create the kind of jobs we need, to get the living wages, making sure that those of us who have not had the same opportunity as others have those opportunities. We'll create those opportunities, and we will move forward as a city.
I think any person of color in America can tell stories about the gap that exists, can tell stories about breaking through the glass ceiling. I could tell story after story about gaps that I have had to deal with, about ways that I have had to break through the glass ceiling. But let me just say that all of us in this community will benefit from a more diverse community. All of us in this community, no matter what our race or gender is, will benefit if the diversity of this community has the opportunity to work and participate in the development that's taking place. That's what I work hard for each and every day, and one of the things that I have done is led by example. If you look at Buffalo City Hall, I have hired more minorities, African Americans, and Latinos than any mayor in the history of the city of Buffalo. That's leading by example. Look at our law department. I have more minority attorneys than any law firm in the city of Buffalo. That is leading by example. And I am at these meetings every single week, whether it's the Erie Canal Harbor Development Corporation, whether it's the medical campus, whether it's the Erie County Industrial Development Agency, pushing for participation, fighting for participation, putting those issues on the table, and some days being the only one in the room to raise those issues.
Start asking the questions that have come from you, the audience, starting with Eva Doyle of the Buffalo Presbyterian.
Yes, this is from the audience. Building a stadium downtown has received a great deal of serious attention. As mayor, what will you do to ensure that a new stadium is built in downtown Buffalo that will support the economy, the tax base, and the tourism industry?
Mr. Tolbert.
Thank you. I'm a long-time Buffalo Bills season ticket holder. I had season tickets when they first opened what was then called Bridge Stadium. The very first year, I remember the first play, Herb Mulkey running back the kickoff for a touchdown. I've been a season ticket holder by current sports seats for the past 28 years. So I'm an avid sports fan, Buffalo Bills fan. And I'm fully in favor of a stadium downtown. I'd like to see a stadium downtown. I went to the Super Bowl in Indianapolis at Lucas Field and saw the stadium that they have there, which is right downtown, has a convention center attached to it, and it just did wonders for the city. So we need a stadium, and we need a stadium downtown. It will create a number of jobs in construction, and we'll have to ensure that everyone has equal opportunities of jobs. It will also create jobs that will be ongoing after the stadium is up and running. My preference would be that we have a stadium that's closer to the downtown footprint so that it would be more of an economic driver to the actual downtown area. The current site that's being talked about on the Outer Harbor, there are some challenges, some infrastructure challenges that would have to be met. So my first preference would be to get a stadium downtown. But I am fully in favor of a stadium that's in the downtown area, that supports our city, that will drive our economy, that will offer jobs, and will allow us to keep the Buffalo Bills here in Buffalo where they belong.
I'm definitely in favor of a stadium downtown. The stadium where it's presently located in Orchard Park is only used 8 times out of the year. It's underutilized, it's not producing jobs and opportunities for the people of the city or the region. The stadium that has presently been proposed could be used over 300 days out of the year, bringing traffic to downtown, bringing opportunity, filling hotel rooms, putting people in the seats in restaurants downtown, and creating more jobs for the residents of this community. I am a member of Governor Cuomo's Stadium Commission, which will be looking at this question. As you know, in the renegotiation of the lease with the Bills in Erie County, it is a 10-year lease And in year 7, there is the opportunity to look at the siting of the stadium. One of the things that I'm pushing aggressively for right now, and certainly pushing for as a member of the Governor's Commission, is that stadium go downtown where it can have the most benefit for the residents of Buffalo, Western New York, in keeping the Bills right here where they belong.
Whoever said we couldn't agree on something, huh? You know, it's not called the Orchard Park Bills. So bringing a stadium downtown just simply makes sense. A domed stadium that can be used year-round. So I will be rolling out the red carpet for any initiative that's looking to bring the Buffalo Bills Stadium downtown. That's all I have to say on that.
Thank you. Our next question, Brittany Smallwood of WNYmedia.
The viewer asked, what is your vision for the HSBC Tower?
That question to Mayor Brown.
The HSBC Tower is on its way to having tremendous vacancy. As HSBC moves its entire footprint out of the tower, it's going to be over 80% vacant. The Canadian consulate has already moved out of the tower. What you have with HSBC Tower is an owner who is over-mortgaged, who overpaid and over-mortgaged the property, and that mortgage is going to come due in a little less than 2 years. I believe that the market forces should be allowed to work. I don't think that government should come in and spend your taxpayer dollars to bail out a private sector owner. So what potentially will happen with the tower is there will be at some point either the owner will pay the note or there will be a bankruptcy sale and the market will come in and somebody will purchase the building. But I am totally opposed to taxpayer dollars going into HSBC Tower.
Well, I guess my vision for HSBC Tower would be First Niagara Tower. Would it make sense? So anything we can do to encourage First Niagara Bank to headquarter themselves right there in that building and fill in that space is what we do. You know, I do happen to agree with the mayor on this. You know, there has to be limited involvement by the city administration in terms of letting the market forces indeed play out. And so in that respect, yeah, I mean, vision, it would be great to have First Niagara Bank's logo up there.
I'm concerned that you all are going to lose interest because Mr. Brown, Mr. Rodriguez, and I are beginning to agree on it. What's happening here? I agree that the city can't do everything. It's unfortunate that we lost HSBC Bank, but there are market forces that need to play out. However, the one thing I would say differently is that I think that the city needs to be involved in any discussions, and as those market forces play out, that the city is at the table so that when it comes time to make some decisions on what's going to happen, we're not playing catch up. Again, not that we use city money. I'm not advocating that. But what I am saying is let's be proactive. Instead of waiting until the building's empty and we've got a dinosaur in our hand that sits in the tallest building and we're sitting right in the middle of downtown, let's do what we can to maybe help give those market forces a push or at least be aware of what's happening. Don't sit by and say we'll wait until it happens. There are things we can do to start to prepare, or that we can even maybe push things in a certain direction that's beneficial to the city. Let's do that.
Next question from the audience. Harold McNeil of the Buffalo News.
Questioner from the audience wants to know how the candidates plan to help kickstart businesses in parts of the city other than downtown Buffalo.
Mr. Rodriguez.
Sure. You know, I've talked to many small businesses in the city of Buffalo, and one of the major gripes is that, you know, doing business with city government, it's a painful, tedious process. So why not have a one-stop center where all of the services for business looking to expand or grow or begin to have everything taken care of right there on the spot? So I do propose the idea of having a one-stop center, because you know what? When a business goes to downtown to City Hall, they're sent from one department, one building to another. They need to have all their needs being met. The other thing is, we need to have a customer service centric mentality by city employees. You know? So, yeah, remember, we hire city employees. They work for us. So they should be thankful and treating us with the utmost respect. And then coming back
Thank you, Mr. Rodriguez. We have time, it looks like, for one more question, one more round of questions. One question for the three candidates. And the next question is with Eva Doyle from the Buffalo right here.
Oh, we all gonna get a chance to
I'm not even going to explain it. Mr. Colbert.
Thank you. It's been a long day. I understand this one. Look, government exists to serve the people.
Yes.
If you're not serving the people, there's no reason for you to be here. Whether you're a council member, a mayor, county executive, or anything. So we have to make sure that we're serving the people. I've talked to a number of business people who tell me that it is too difficult doing business with the city. The process of licensing, inspection, and permits is onerous. I've had people tell me, I don't want to do business with the city because it's too difficult. So what I would propose is that we have a process, much like what Mr. Rodriguez says, that's customer friendly, but I want an open process. I propose to, when I'm the mayor, I'll post all inspections, all permits, all licenses. Those will be online for everybody to see, so everybody will know the process, know what they have to deal with. We have to get about the business of making it easier for people who live here. It's too many people are not wanting to be a part of this great thing we've got going on in Buffalo, this great city of Buffalo, because we make it too difficult. So let's make the process easier. Open government. I'm fully in favor of open government. When I'm the mayor, I will propose an open government advisory board made up of citizens and people in the government to make sure that every day, all day, we're looking for things that will make it much easier for people to do business here in Buffalo.
Well, we do agree in the respect that customer service is critically important, and every municipal employee works for the taxpayer. But permits are online. Licenses are online. People can go online now and they can fill out that information. A one-stop center is underway. The Erie County Industrial Development Agency, the Buffalo Urban Development Corporation, and the New York State Empire State Development Corporation are all going to be co-located in one site. So you will have city, you will have county, and you will have state agencies in one site. We have made dozens of reforms in the city to make the permit and licensing process easier. We have cut the tax rate in the city. Right now, Buffalo has one of the lowest tax rates in the region and one of the lowest tax rates of upstate cities. We are not having a problem attracting small business, business from the suburbs, and businesses from across the state and out of the state to look at making investments in the city of Buffalo. We are getting outreach by businesses every single day to make investments in the city because we have streamlined the process. We have made the process easier. Final thing, folks, Buffalo has the lowest permit fees in a 500-mile radius of the city. It is a good bet. It is a good value to do business in the city of Buffalo. Thank you very much.
I didn't hear a
I
person.
didn't talk about it.
I didn't hear a person.
My statement about the process being online, I wasn't talking about the application, I'm talking about putting on all permits that are granted, all licenses, putting those online for everybody to see. That's open government.
Okay. We've come to the minute, where we do not have time for any more questions, and we will allow the candidates with a 1-minute closing statement in the reverse order from the opening statement, and so we will start with you, Mr. Rodriguez.
Thank you, Mr. Waters, and truly, I feel very honored to be part of this forum with the mayor and Mr. Tolbert. I'm very grateful for this opportunity. I have a couple of things I'd like to say in this 1 minute. One is, please, keep an open mind with this process. I'm not running on a party platform. I'm running on the people's platform. The other thing is, as it pertains to the issues that matter most to residents, which is the education system, crime, poverty, unemployment, and the fact that over 20,000 residents have left the city over the past 8 years since the mayor got elected. We need vision, folks. We need leadership. And we need a sense of urgency. 8 is enough.
I want to thank the Association of Black Journalists for hosting this forum. Mr. Waters, I want to thank you for moderating, and to our distinguished panelists, I want to thank you for participating, and to Mr. Tolbert and Mr. Rodriguez, thank you for being here this evening. Let me just say, when I was elected mayor, the city had experienced 55 years of population loss. There were 23,000 vacant lots. There were, 23,000 vacant houses, 13,000 vacant lots. Our taxes were high. Our credit rating was low. Our parks were being managed by the county and not well. People were upset about the condition of their parks and their streets, and we fixed many of these problems. We cut the tax rate residentially by 15%. We cut the tax rate commercially by 28%. We're making record investments now in the infrastructure of this city, over $45 million in neighborhoods alone. We've invested $31 million in our parks. And despite what my capable opponents say, we have reduced crime by approximately 20% since 2005. Folks, things have gotten better in the city of Buffalo. There are many challenges. There is still work to do. But should you entrust the future of this city to novices, or should you entrust it to someone who has the experience to get the job done and continue to move this great city forward? Thank you very much.
I too would like to thank everyone, the Buffalo Association of Black Journalists, although our panel, our very distinguished panel, our very capable moderator, and the candidates too. Want to thank them for being a part of it. I want to thank you for making this happen also with your attendance here. You know, a better Buffalo, that's the goal and that's the dream. Despite the skewed statistics and some of the false claims that you've heard here tonight, we all know that this is a city in trouble, and we must begin making better choices. As fellow citizens, I'm asking you, please, don't let the pattern of deadly violence, dysfunctional schools, substandard poverty, and pay-to-pay politics continue in our city. You have a right to demand and to expect more. you also have the power to make the necessary changes. I am very thankful for the fact that our credit rating has improved, and I want to thank the control board for getting that done. On September 10th, cast your vote for me, Bernie Tolbert, because I firmly believe, no, let me change that. I absolutely know that working together, we can build a better Buffalo. There is a choice, there's a better choice, and I represent that better choice.
Thank you. You've been a very courteous audience, and you can give yourselves a hand. Before everyone gets up, we want you to allow the candidates to leave before you get up and start the meeting, so they can. So let's see, ladies, because it is kind of crowded here.
And announce where we gotta post the questions that we're.
Young Obama.
Okay. We also, questions that were not asked here today,
You look like
you
Obama.
can get those at Twitter at Buffalo, I'll underline BABJ. Those questions will be posted on Twitter. It's Twitter at Buffalo underscore, thank you very much, underscore BABJ.
And for those people who don't have access to a computer,
Library, I'm sorry. Library. That's the best answer I can give. We'd also like to thank Buffalo News for its generosity in providing the auditorium. Buffalo News also streams video of this. WNYmedia also streams video of this for folks to make it down here. Again, thank you very much for being a courteous audience, and have a safe ride.
You have a great day. Yeah. Great night.
I was going to say, you look pretty good for 83 years old.
Yeah, you know what I mean? I know. I'm like, yeah, I got another 20 or 30 years to go.
Get down and give me 20.
Were you at the banquet for my grandfather, Judge Samuel Green, when he got an award?
No, I wasn't there.
I didn't know about it. I didn't hear about it. I seen about it on the news. I didn't even know. My mother didn't even call me. I didn't know about a lot of stuff. I would have been there. I would have.
I hope it's cooled off a little bit outside. I know, that's I can check it out. I don't have no problem. I'll take the problem.